Okay. So, welcome to anybody who might be watching this at any stage. Tonight, I'm Christian McNeil, based in Glasgow, and I'm once again interviewing Jill Whalen, this time on the subject of Google Analytics. It's safe to say I know absolutely zero. Jill very kindly offered to analyze my site, but I don't even have good Google Analytics on it yet. So I'm really starting from scratch. So at the moment, Chris, we've got you live. If you've got any questions at all, please do let us know. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. Jill, I know that you've got many years of expertise in this field, so we really are at different ends of the spectrum here. And it'd be nice maybe just to hear, an overview and, what it is, why use it, how use it, just those big general answers to those big questions.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. I'm going to try and talk loud because for some reason my iPad is always soft for people. So yeah, I because I was in web marketing for 18 years, I had a lot of experience with Google Analytics for all those years, analyzing websites, people's analytics, and using it to help decide what to do for people's websites to help them make their websites better. So I have a lot of experience with it. The last few years since I've been out of the business, not quite as much. I still use it for my own blog, and mostly just for that. So I don't, and they change things around a lot, and it's honestly, it's not half as useful as it used to be for a variety of reasons, which I can just talk about too. But I guess since this webinar is sort of geared to people who have Google Analytics installed but get confused by it or don't really know what to do. But since I kind of thought the whole world had Google Analytics installed on their websites, because I don't know. I mean, that was my world. But where you, Christian, just contacted me and said you didn't even have it. I mean, just as a quick rundown on what to do if you don't have it, and even if you have another stats program, I would still recommend having Google Analytics, because it's free and it's the most comprehensive thing. I mean, it's got so much that it can do that it's kind of hard to believe it's even free. So you just got to log into Google, find Google Analytics online. Just do a search Google Analytics and you'll find their page to log into. And as long as you have a Google account already, a Gmail or any kind of Google thing, you should be able to attach it right there. But what it will do is ask you some stuff, what your website is, and then it will give you some code, and that's where it can get tricky for some people who don't know how to do code on their site. You need to put that code on your website so that it ends up on every page of your website. If you use WordPress, there's a plugin called, it's one of the Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T plugins. That's, there's a Google Analytics Yoast plugin that I would highly recommend. It makes it, you add that plugin to your page, and then you'll just be able to put your Google Analytics number right into there. Or sometimes even there's two different ways. You can even just attach, it'll explain, the Yoast plugin will explain how to do it, but you can just do that and it makes it easier. It'll just put everything on every page for you. So if you use WordPress, definitely do that. If you have other stuff, then you're on your own. There's probably other ways of doing it easily, even if you are using other kinds of blogs, but definitely get that code installed. So for people who do have it installed, it's unfortunately we don't have many people on the webinar live, so there's probably, if anyone who is here has specific questions, that would be great. But what I'm going to do is just kind of share my screen and just show you some stuff. I mean, I guess even, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, I noticed another couple of people have come on, and just to reiterate, if you do have any specific questions, please do just raise your hand or type something into the chat, and I'll bring you on, or be delighted to hear from you. But in the meantime, please do just carry on. Do you have top tips already? I'll be on my WordPress and finding Yoast tomorrow.
I can help you. All right, I'm sharing. Okay, good. It's sharing my this is Google Analytics. This is real-time Google Analytics, which I love to keep up on my I've got two screens going all the time on my computer, so I just kind of keep this up because I'm a control freak and I like to see if anyone visits my site. Now, as you can see, nobody's visiting right now. My old site, my old high rankings website, which got tons more traffic than my little blog, you know, there would always be people active on the site. So the real time, once you log into your Google Analytics, you'll see all this stuff here in the left. And real time is over here, and this is just the real time overview. Now, unfortunately, nobody's visiting right now, so I can't show you what it does. But we'll come back to this later, and it might be. I get decent amount of traffic. I mean, just compared to what I was used to before, it's not a lot. So I mean, the reason why you want to use Google Analytics is because, well, I mean, if you have any kind of business or even just a blog. It's just really helpful to know where people are coming from and you know what's working on your website and what's not working on your website, and you know that's what Google Analytics can tell you. Unfortunately, there are some problems with it right now that should get fixed at some point that Google's working on. There's what a lot of news sites or any site seeing, and I can't show you it because I have it filtered out, but oh, good. Somebody just came on my site. So let me just go to this for a minute while they're here. So you see, so someone just came to my site, and it shows they came from a keyword. Now, this is one of the problems with keyword with Google. Well, with any analytics program right now, you see the keyword is not provided, and you're going to see if you ever get any kind of what we call organic traffic, meaning basically search engine or Google traffic, because Google's pretty much the main search engine these days. It's called organic as opposed to if you paid for ads, or it's not paid traffic. So any kind of organic traffic from Google, they block out the keywords these days, which is partially why it's not as useful as it used to be. But any analytics program is going to do that. So it's not like that it's just Google Analytics. It's Google itself blocking keywords from being transmitted for any program, which really sucks, because we used to be able to see which keywords on our site were bringing traffic, and you could adjust accordingly. But you will see some keywords, just not most of them. So when you see not provided in your analytics, and we'll look at that too later, it's not you, it's nothing bad. You're just going to see that most of your keywords are that. Don't worry about it. But you can also see where people came from. Oh, so was this you, Christian?
Busted. Yeah, well, I just thought I would see what happened.
So yeah, so she went to my homepage. That's just the slash, and then it says where they're from. She's from Glasgow, and you can actually just look on the locations, and it shows where it is. You can click on the sources. It says organic Google. You can see what content people have been to, that's just my home page. So it's kind of cool. The conversions and stuff, I don't get a lot of conversions, so I don't see that often. But so that's real time, and you can keep that on if you want. I'm assuming a lot of people who will be watching this webinar probably don't get tons of traffic, so it's kind of boring when you don't. But what's cool, if you send out a newsletter or you post something to Facebook that's linked back to your blog or on Twitter or whatever, and you keep up this real time, you can see people coming in all at once kind of thing, and see how many people come from your newsletter and things like that. And I don't know, for me it's just fun. So the other one thing that The place where I end up playing, let's say, the most, and I encourage you to just not be overwhelmed by this and just play with it, because I'm going to show you stuff and then you're going to go back and be like, how did she do that? You know, I can't find it now because there's so many things. But let me just close that. So see, each of these things open and close for more stuff, each of the main headings here. And so it's less overwhelming if you keep them closed until you want them, but just know that there's stuff there. So what I like to look at mostly is acquisition. Ooh, somebody else just came from Facebook to see my paleo toast post, which, see, that was something I posted this morning because I made some paleo toast with tomato on top. And somebody asked, you know, oh, did you buy that or did you make it or whatever? So I posted I have a recipe on my website, on my blog about it. So somebody's visiting from Facebook. So let's see, an acquisition. This won't be real tense. We'll go to overview here. And this is, acquisition is where I like to hang out, like I said. I mean, the other stuff's cool, but this is the stuff that matters to me the most. And I think for most people, it's really what matters. So you get a good overview here in the overview section of this, and it's set for the past month. You can make it for more. Actually, I'm going to make it for more because we'll see more stuff since I don't get all that much traffic. Well, I'll do it for like the past 3 months. So if you click the dates up here, this little arrow, then you can, I'll just do from July to now. And it defaults to the day before to yesterday as the last date, as opposed, because it doesn't give you all the newest stuff if you're looking for today. So we'll just leave it at that. So we'll go from July 1st to September 1st, which is a nice 2-month thing. And it reloads it all for you and shows you how many. So you get this pie chart here. I'm not a chart person, so I don't really care, but some people like to see that. And you can see which places you're getting the most traffic from. Organic search, like I said, is generally Google, but it can be any search engine. Social is going to be like your Facebook and Twitter, Google Plus. I think they consider Pinterest in there as well. Direct, some of these aren't accurate. Sometimes direct just means if somebody went to your site, you know, just like typed it into this to their browser and went there. Sometimes things will be called direct when it's not really too. So everything's not all that accurate, but it just gives you an idea. Don't go crazy about it. Email is because I set up campaigns for my email newsletter, so that's why it shows that. I don't think you typically get it to show email unless you set it up as a campaign. And you can do that with, like, if you use mail. I use MailChimp for my newsletter, and I'm sure pretty much any email newsletter, there's a way to track through Google Analytics. It's within, like for me, it's within MailChimp. It's a setting when I send the email that I just have to click on. So here you can see, this is the traffic for the past couple months. So from organic search is my biggest traffic bringer. And I guess because I know a little SEO, I do, so I get some traffic from there. But honestly, it's not the best traffic in terms of people signing up for my newsletter or people contacting me. It's not the best traffic. A lot of the people that come from organic just, you know, visit whatever page that they search for. And usually, and I'll show you this, it's usually, I have one particular page on my website that seems to get a big chunk of the traffic, and it's about recognizing your inner voice. For some reason, Google loves that one and sends lots of people there, but they rarely do anything. So, you know, numbers can be deceiving, you know, and that's an important thing to understand. Here's social. So that's, you know, less than half as much as organic. Direct, referral. Referral is other websites that might link to you. Generally, sometimes you'll see social media stuff in there, or even Google searches are in there. But the thing with referrals, these days, this is the other big problem with Google Analytics right now, and probably other programs as well. there's all this crap out there right now called what we call referral spam. And it's these nasty people that are they just somehow are able to send out signals to Google to Google Analytics that makes it think that there's actually a visitor to your website when there's not. Now I've got mine mostly blocked out, but a lot of people, when I look at some of my new sites, that if I haven't blocked them out, I see like here, this one, SEO success is referrer spam. That's not actually someone coming from my site. And then buttons for website, you're gonna see that tons. And even though I've mostly got them blocked out, somehow they're still getting through. So on my consulting site, which nobody really goes to because I don't really promote it, and it just, nobody goes to it. But it'll show, like 300 visitors in a month, and I'd be like, oh wow, look at, I got all these visitors, and then I go look, and it's all buttons for website and all these other videos for your business, all this crap. That is nothing, doesn't mean anything. You're not getting visitors. And anyone who watches this who's interested in trying to get rid of it, I can send you some information on with some links, with some articles that tell people how to filter those out. It's kind of a pain, and as you can see, you don't always get it all. It might be because I just recently filtered it, and this is showing me from 2 months worth. And they keep making more. So Google has declared that they are working on this problem, but they have no time frame for it. So hopefully they'll get it done soon. But yeah, as you can see, other stuff. So highrankings.com, that's a real one because that's me. That's my old website, and I do have some links to my new blog from there. So I do get referrers from there. Search Engine Land, because I have a post when I left SEO about my leaving SEO, and a lot of people in the SEO world wrote about it, and it links to my site, so I get traffic from there. But again, they're not the best. Jill.consulting, that's my site that I said that doesn't get much traffic. But let's go back to the overview for a minute. So if we look at the organic search, let's see what we got here. So it shows you the keywords. And of course, as I mentioned already, not provided is the biggie, which sucks. So it's, you do get some that gets in somehow, and I don't really even know how it gets through because they're pretty good at blocking it. But it does get through. So, you can see not provided here is the biggest. But I do get some idea of what phrases people use to come to my site. And I have some muffin recipes that are like paleo muffins. I guess in Europe they call it banting when it's low carb or something to do with that, because I get a lot of traffic using that word banting, which I personally had never heard of.
Me neither.
Yeah, but it seems to be all traffic from the UK or Europe or something. Right. I'm not sure. So you can see some of the keywords, and I can show you that there's other ways to see keywords later too. Google has given us some, they've thrown us a bone, let's say, but you have to also install a Webmaster Tools account. Google has something called Google Webmaster Tools, which provides people with some other information about their website that's also worth having. So I mean, you can log into that, and then you can also get keyword information, which we'll look at that in a well, why don't we look at that now since we're here? So that's under search engine optimization, because my accounts are hooked in. If you haven't got a Webmaster Tools account, you won't see anything under here. It'll tell you, it'll actually, I think, give you a link in how to get it. So I'll hit queries because that just means keywords. And
Jill, did you have a chance? Did you see Chris's question there? I think he's asking how to get rid of the spam and referrals.
I will, if you send us your email or something later, I'll send you. You can look online for, like, if you look online for referrer spam, you'll find some articles about it, or I can show you. I can send you that information as well. And like I said, it doesn't always work great. But so anyway, so because I've got my account hooked in, I get to see more queries. It's actually what it's the main thing here is impressions, which means that my site has shown in Google searches for these keywords. Doesn't mean anyone actually has visited my site. So that's another reason why it's not all that useful. But it gives you some idea of the keywords a little bit more. All those keywords that are not provided are showing in here. But it doesn't see the clicks are here. So I haven't got that many, the clicks aren't as much. And you can sort by click, which is cool. If you just click the top here, and you can do that on any of these screens. And again, as you can see, my mug muffins are pretty popular, and my how to listen to your inner voice, my recognize inner voice, is a popular one. And it does kind of show you your average position in Google too, which is kind of cool, where you might rank for that keyword. I'm in position 5.5 on average. Thoughts create feelings is an interesting one, because I have a blog post about thoughts create feelings. So anyone who's watching this who's in our 3 principles world, you would think that's a really good keyword. And I rank generally like number 1 for it, but it only brings 12 clicks. So it's people aren't, I don't know, maybe eventually people will catch on and realize thoughts create feelings, and I'll start getting lots of traffic for that. We got to get the word out better. So that's what you can kind of see in there. It's worth hooking yourself up with Webmaster Tools, and they will send you warnings about your site as well if there's problems with it. So it's definitely worth hooking up with that as well. Let's go back to the.
And is Webmaster Tools a separate package from Google Analytics?
It is. You have to sign up for it separately, but they do integrate together this way, which is helpful. So let's see I don't want audience overview. I want acquisition. So let's look at well, actually, let me go back to organic search here, because I want to show you the other, because we can't see keywords as well. Like I don't know what's in all this not provided stuff, but let's just click it for a minute. Yeah, it doesn't show anything. So let me go back. What we can do is if you click on landing page here, it defaults on keyword. But if we click on landing page, wait, am I in the, yeah, organic search, yeah. So now we can see which pages of my blog people are landing on this is from organic search. So even though I don't know the exact keywords, I can still see which pages of my site are popular in Google or other search engines as well. So like I said, it was pretty obvious from those other keywords, but so it's my recognized listen to inner voice. This is a good reason also why you want your pages labeled with words, instead of, like, if it just had weird numbers here, I wouldn't know what pages I was looking at here, and then I'd have to do some other fancy footwork to find the actual title of the page. But I can pretty much tell. Now see, I didn't when I was doing blogs early on, I was doing all these ones called I was just saying what I learned this week, and I would just list like 5 things, so I didn't name them, and so I forget sort of what's in these ones here. So it's not as helpful to me. I'd have to go back to that page and see what was it I learned in January of 2014. I don't remember. But it's nice to be able to see which posts of mine are popular, and the reason is, maybe like all my muffin ones are really popular. Maybe I should do more muffin posts, and I keep thinking that in my head. I know I should do it because they are so popular. Here's 3. These are the 3 main ones I have: corn muffins, banana muffins, and blueberry muffins, and they're all healthy ones. But I've been, since the time I wrote those, which is a couple of years ago already, or at least a year ago, I've made all kinds of other ones that I eat every day, and so I totally could write a whole bunch more posts on this. And it looks like, by looking at my analytics, I should, or at least they bring visitors. Whether those visitors do anything or not is, well, I can see that they don't, because here's here's conversions on the side here. Let me move it over. So you can see, well, this is just my contact form. None of these people are filled out a contact form. And you really do want to set up conversions in your analytics. And this is another thing you have to actually physically, you know, go in and set up. I'm not going to show it because it's a bit of a pain, but it's worth it. What you want to use as your conversion point is if you, well, things that are a conversion, so like people contacting you is definitely a conversion. And I always suggest having a contact form on your site for this purpose, because if they're just sending you emails, you can't measure it. I know some people are against this, but I would not put an email address on your website for many reasons. Some because the scrapers will scrape it and you'll get more spam than you already get. But also because you can't measure it. So if you have a form, what you want to put in as your conversion is the thank you page URL. So whatever, that way, if you can put in just the form page, and then you'll know if anyone even visited the contact us page, but that's not a real conversion just because they visited that page. It's only the people that actually have filled it out and submitted it, they will get to the thank you page. And so it's also really key to make sure whatever form you're using on your website has a thank you page that has its own URL, because not all the way, you know, people add these pages that don't actually have thank you pages with their own URL, and you can't measure them from there.
And Jill, just a real beginner's question here. So the bounce is when people just click on and click away again fairly quickly. Is that right?
What about that if they click and...
Is that but when it talks about the bounce rate, that's...
Oh, yeah. Bounce rate is actually that they have only visited that one page and then have left. And it's not a big deal. I mean, people use that bounce rate as something worth measuring. It's not even worth measuring, in my opinion. It means nothing really. It's very common for people to just come to one page of your site. It doesn't mean your site sucks. They may find exactly what they need on that page, and they're good, and that's fine. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice if they went to others, but it's hardly worth looking at, because if you looked at mine, for the whole site, it's 87%. That means, you know, over 87% only visit that one page that they've gotten to, at least from organic search, according to this. And I don't care. I mean, it does, you know, some people get all stressed out about it and think that that's a big thing. And pages per session and all that stuff, it's not even worth looking at. I sometimes like to see new visitors as opposed to old previous visitors, people who've been there before, because that, you know, the more new visitors I get, the bit larger my audience is getting. And so, you know, that's nice to see. But again, it's not really, doesn't mean a whole lot. So other things besides contact forms, if you have anything that you can place an order on, I had a program I was doing back in April, or I was going to do. I ended up not doing it, but so I did have, there was a way to order that program, and it had a thank you page, and so that was my conversion for that. And then newsletter sign up. I have two here because I haven't been able to quite make it work with conversions using one of them. It seems like some of them have one URL and some of them have another. So I've just kind of fudged it by having two different things. But let's, I think this one, if we click on that, we can see. So I'm going to click on the newsletter sign up as the goal. And you can see, you know, there's some sign up. Oh, see, but it shows newsletter thanks, which is that's the thank you page that I put in. So some people had signed up who had come to the home page. Some people who came to the paleo muffin, the blueberry muffin, did sign up for the newsletter. Let me try the newsletter 4. I think that one shows more. Or it might not. Let's see. No, that one. No, yeah, so the 3 is a better one. So yeah, you want to, if you can see what pages bring you subscribers, that's an important thing to know, just for knowing what kind of content you want to keep creating. So what are people interested in and stuff like that. So that's what you can see in there. We go back, so we can switch off things here. We can check social. Oh, and it's still set on landing page. Let me go back here for a minute. Okay, so now we can see how many visitors. As you can see, Facebook is my most of, social my biggest referrer, which makes sense because that's the one I use the most. I incidentally will post to Google Plus, LinkedIn, Twitter. Fix this. So if you click on those, you can sort them. That's how you sort the rows. So yeah, Twitter was next. And I have been participating a little more in Twitter, like we talked about in our last webinar. So I do get some traffic from there. And Google Plus, I really don't participate a lot, but I do have a lot of followers just from my old SEO stuff. And I guess they call Meetup a part of the social network. And I do have a Meetup group that links back to my blog, so that's in there. I have Pinterest, where I have some recipes, and LinkedIn, which I really don't participate in much. Not that you shouldn't, but it just, there's only so many things you can do, so I just do what's of interest to me. So if we click on Facebook, we'll see which posts that I created were the most popular, which I think we need to do. So if we click other here, and I want to see landing pages, and instead of trying to browse through all these things to find it, which actually it's right there, but it's much easier just to start typing it and it will show up. And there we go. So I can see, and now remember, this is only for the past 2 months. So because it was Facebook, it makes sense that it's going to be the posts that I probably had just written within the last few months, because that's when I promote them the most. I don't like to, even though they're still just as good, I don't generally keep posting on Facebook, old posts. I hope that eventually they start getting their own traffic from analytics. From Google search, organic search. So
I think you might need to hide. Yeah.
I just muted someone.
Thanks. Jill, could I just ask you on this point?
Yep.
So from here, can you work out what it was you put on Facebook that led to someone coming to your site?
Well,
or am I going the wrong? Am I in the wrong direction?
I mean, you could, if you posted different, like if you talked about it in a different way or something.
So, I mean, or tell me a little bit more. Let's just start with the first one. What you're taking from that, and I apologize if everybody else, Nicole's miles ahead of me here. But
no.
What are you drawing from number one and the figures there?
Yeah, and basically, I mean, this is just these are my pages on my site. So these are are blog posts. And
yeah.
They're just the URLs that I posted. So, I mean, I can see which ones maybe were more popular. If I go back for a longer period of time, which we can do, my screen isn't big enough here, so I'm having to scroll. Let's see, where's my time? No, I'm confused. Well, let's just leave it. I don't want to waste.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, I mean, it just these numbers just are visitors basically. So 134.
You know that they came from Facebook, and you can deduce that more people liked Become Fit and Healthy than say something lower down.
Yeah, but not necessarily, because this is a short period of time. It just means that these were the most. Generally, these are the most recent posts. That was. The Fit and Healthy one was one of my last ones. What Me Worry was before that. Now, see this one, this was a newer one, Uncovering My Innate Health. That was actually my latest one, but it is interesting that that's not as high as some of these others, since it was the last one I just did. It's for whatever reason, that one wasn't speaking to as many people as, which makes sense. Becoming fit and healthy kind of resonates with people more the average person. Anyone who might be following me might be interested in, you know, it was called something like How to Become Fit and Healthy Without Willpower, which I'm going to be doing an in-person talk on as well. So that's kind of interesting to even my, you know, local friends and people outside of my my three principles world. So it kind of makes sense. And the worry one, even that too, because that was just about you know, how to help stop worrying. But for whatever reason, I think because people didn't understand what uncovering your innate health means, you know, and which I explained in the post, but I could see where some people wouldn't click on it, because I know, you know, and I think I said it in the post just a year ago or a couple of years ago, I would have been like, what does that even mean? You know, it's not going to ring true. And, you know, so that's a good reason to, you know, make sure you title your things differently as well. You know, you could try different titles and see if that appeals to people as well. So yeah, that's basically those. So, and this was just Facebook, but you can see up here, you can change, actually, oh, here's the date. I wasn't scrolled up right. Let me go back further, like to April. And then we'll have a better, this should be a better view of, yes, so you can see, so even going back that far, it's still similar numbers. And I sometimes don't understand, like the healthy banana mug muffins, other people must be posting it on Facebook, because I mean, that one's a couple years old.
Could you mute?
Somebody else is muted.
Thanks.
Should be muting. I forgot to set it to mute automatically. So yeah, so we can see here the more popular posts of you know, of the past. This is probably, I think, around 6 months now. And so that fit and healthy one, it, you know, it does show that it appeals. So this is the kind of stuff I don't go crazy thinking about it, but it just kind of puts seeds in my head of what I might you know, of what I might want to write for the future. For me, I don't care that much, because I just write about what's in my mind. But if this was really a business or whatever, you know, that's when you really want to use this information to learn what it is people are interested in. And like I said, I think, you know, just how to title things so that it's more appealing to everybody as well is important too, to get people to click. Because if people aren't clicking through from Facebook, then they're not seeing it. So that's all important. And so, you know, what I do is I just kind of, I don't look at this all that much. I keep the real time on, like I said at the beginning. So I get some idea of what people are visiting through real time, because I see that they're, you know, at least 10 times a day, I'll see people on that recognizing your inner voice post. So I know that's popular. And I'll start to see trends when I'm looking at real time, that all of a sudden, you know, like the thoughts create feelings post sort of started showing up in there, which I never used to see. So for whatever reason, Google's decided that it likes it, because they're usually coming from search. But you can switch up here between Facebook. You can see the different social networks as well. So there's all kinds of different things, and different ways of sorting the information. It's a lot of stuff, but that's why I'm trying to show you the most, you know, basically if you stick in where I started out with the acquisition stuff, you're going to get the most information. So I could see for my email newsletter, let's see, this is helpful stuff generally. Let's see what we got here. So these I think mean traffic from all my newsletters, and we can see which posts got the most clicks in the various newsletters over time. And so interestingly enough, and not too surprising, I still have a business followers. So my small business content marketing post became one of the most clicked on ones from the past 6 months of newsletters, which is why I'm doing I don't mind doing some of these business webinars, because I do, that part of my audience does still like that. So that's fine. I'd prefer to talk about the anxiety and things, but you got to give people what they want. But so my anxiety post in that newsletter did pretty well. But they don't get, I've only got about 700 subscribers to my newsletter. So, the clicks are, relative to that. You can also, if you use MailChimp or anything, there's stats in there that you can look at as well. And I can see the clicks in there. I can see who's clicked from those stats by their email address, or actually even their names if they put them in. So you get information that way. And you can kind of mix the two a little bit too, if you see certain things and you want to. So I see I have 88 clicks here. I can go back to MailChimp and see which people those were if I wanted to. I don't do this, but I mean, you could then target those 88 people for something. Maybe I wanted to run a program on content marketing, and I could specifically target those people if I wanted to, or I could specifically target the people with less anxiety if I'm doing something to do with anxiety. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do. You just, you just got to get creative and think of it. More stuff to do than we all have time to do, of course, which is why I don't do it. But I did used to, with my SEO newsletters and my content that I did there, I definitely did a lot more with, I would think of these things more. Now I don't care as much, but I'm not really trying to make much money at the moment. So it's not as important to me, but it's interesting, and it all gets into my head, and it's, it's all there for someday when I might want to do something with it. I've got at least some idea of what's been going on in my site. And I think that's really key, and partially why I wanted to do this, because so many people have websites, Christian, without knowing what's, what it's doing, what's going on with it. And, I don't know, what's the point of having a website if you don't have some idea of what it's doing for you? Because it also makes me like want to write more when I see people are visiting. When I was at the conference in London, and I kind of had gotten tired of writing in my blog because I thought nobody paid attention and nobody was reading it. And I had lots of people came up and said, "Oh, I read your blog all the time. I love your blog posts." And that I was like, really? Oh, people are reading it. I mean, I could see the numbers in analytics, but when you hear real people telling you too, it gave me more motivation to keep writing. And so I've actually really been on a tear with making sure that I do write more often now. And if people are reading it, I'm happy to write it. And so that's the kind of stuff you can see in here if you don't have the opportunity to talk to real people, which, sometimes when we're working online, we don't.
Yeah, well, until I met you, Jill, I don't really know why I had a website. So, yeah, thanks for straightening me out in a few things.
You know why you had the blog?
Yeah, well, blog and website, mine are kind of conjoined. But,
and that's true. A lot of, some people, if they're getting most of their business in person, they may or may not need a blog or a website. But it's, even if you're meeting people at networking events, you want to be able to point people where they can get more information. So that's one reason. And you could even track links. Like if you could put a certain link on your business card, let's say, if you get people that way, that's a tracking link. And I'm not going to get into that because it's a pain. It's not a pain, but just to be able to do that, it takes some steps. But you could do something like that, use a special link, and then you could track even people in real life who visit your site. There's all kinds of, deeper stuff you can do with what the newer analytics is called universal analytics. and you can, and big stores can use it to track even people somehow that come into their stores. I don't know how they do it. I haven't really looked at that one, but it's getting where it's kind of cool. You can merge all kinds of data, especially if you're a big company.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say some of your tips have been very helpful, and I have found that you writing a blog, although I would generally work face to face or by Skype, it has generated some clients for me, and yeah, it is very helpful. I'm learning very much piecemeal about how to do this, but I'll be on the Google Analytics tomorrow installing that. I noticed that some people have joined us since we started, and I just wondered, if you have any questions, please, this is your opportunity. You can either just type something into chat or even indicate you want to ask a question.
Yeah. If anyone has questions, that'd be great. But if they're willing to come on and speak it, that's cool. But if you just type it, that's cool too.
Because probably nobody on the call knows less than me about it, so there's no such thing as this question.
Yeah, I would be interested. I'm wondering if people are using Google Analytics and looking at it. One thing I would highly recommend to people who are trying to promote their content is a newsletter, because it's people who really get to know you well. I mean, Facebook's really good too these days, but a newsletter, definitely collect names, but also make sure that you're sending to those people on a regular basis. And it's discouraging. It can be discouraging at first, and even when you start looking at your analytics at first, you may be like, oh, I'm getting no traffic, or you're just getting all that referral spam. You thought you were getting traffic and you're not. And it it is discouraging when you think nobody's coming, but it's all I can say is just have it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, I've had this blog for over 2 years now, and as you can see, I don't get that much traffic. It may be more than some people will get, but to me it seems like nothing compared to what I used to get. But I still have the idea in my head that maybe someday, some big self-help person's going to suddenly notice my blog, and that's sometimes all it takes. Someone just links to you. Like actually, Michael Neal had linked to my anxiety post when I first put it out months ago, and that gave me tons of traffic. But and it gave me actually a lot of newsletter subscribers as well. But that's all it takes. If you big name people who have tons of followers link to you, and you can be really starting to take off.
Jill, I see, I'm going to come back to the thing about newsletter, but I see Chris has sent a question which has come to me privately, but he said Chris, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and say it yourself, or I can read this question out. What he's asked is, it was interesting to hear your view on bounce rate. If the search is perfect, you'd possibly expect 100% bounce rate as the user has hit the correct page straight up. Is that right?
Yeah. Exactly, and that's why I don't understand why that's such a big number to so many people. You hear that one thrown about all the time. So yeah, you're right. I mean, and that's Google's job, is especially if they're coming from search, their job is to just give the content that people are looking for. So if they find their content and they're happy with that, that's fine. And a lot of people don't click through sites. I tend to, if I see something good on a website, like a really good article, I tend to look through and see what, who is this person? And I look for their About Us page, and I read other posts of theirs, and I might sign up for their newsletter or follow them on Facebook. But I don't know. I think I'm different because I've looked at millions of analytics on other websites through the years, and it's big bounce rates, especially for blogs, especially for content marketing. It's not, bounce rate is fine. Now, if you're, it's different. If you're a business website or an e-commerce website, then that's, probably why we do hear more about bounce rate. Because if you're an e-commerce website, bounce rate is going to make a more difference to you than a blog or just content marketing. You know, if you're just writing stuff for the sake of writing stuff, not as important.
Oh, on that, sorry, Jill, carry on.
I just noticed the bounce rate here for email is lower than my other thing. And, you know, you can compare stuff like that as well. Because now we're looking at the email clicks. What did you have another question?
It was to come back to you when you were talking about, you were recommending a newsletter, and I just wondered what your thoughts are about frequency of a newsletter, and sort of moving off analytics slightly, but I'm just interested in that.
It all flows together because that's what you're measuring is things like newsletters. I think at least once a month you should write content. Any less than that, and people are going to forget they signed up for you, and they're going to, you know, report it as spam, and that kind of thing. Ideally more than that. I do every other week. Every week is even better, but you have to be careful. You don't want to do too much. It depends what you're putting in. I mean, I put in just good content. My articles that I write, I'm not selling anything. So it's every other week, and it's just good free information. People can take it or leave it. And so I don't get too many unsubscribes each time. But, you know, be careful of doing. A lot of people do these solo emails when they're promoting an event or whatever they're promoting, and I imagine they get a lot of unsubscribes then. I've tried it in the past in my old SEO days, and for different things, and it's a big hit on your unsubscribes when you do that. So if you don't want to lose people, be careful with that. I just promote stuff within the newsletter. I give links to the content that's on my blog, and I'll say, and, you know, here's what's coming up next week. If anyone's interested, I'm doing a webinar on this or whatever it might be that I'm promoting. But I don't like solo emails because they're just, you know, that's not what people signed up for generally, unless you've told them right up front, you know, if you want to know when I'm doing these events, this is what my newsletter is all about. But for me, and my newsletter is about, you know, just content, blog content that I'm mostly telling people about, and, you know, what I'm up to. So yeah, at least once a month. You could do once a week if it's good stuff. Probably not too much more than that, in my opinion. But I'm picky about things.
Sure. We've got another question from Chris. Is just getting in before the. Oh, you can see that, Jill. You can see that.
I did see it, but then it disappeared on me.
Oh, what is your view on the need for a website to be responsive nowadays? I get the impression that Google does penalize a non-responsive site.
If by responsive you mean mobile friendly, or
I think that
if that's what you mean, which I believe that's what it generally means. Yeah, it is important, and if you sign up for Google Webmaster Tools, as I mentioned earlier, they will send you a warning if your site isn't mobile friendly. So it's important if you get mobile visitors, and if you want mobile visitors, because it will affect that part of your website. As far as I know, and this is probably controversial, I'm sure you'll read on stupid other websites like, no, I won't say it. They'll say that it'll affect all your traffic, but as far as I know, it shouldn't affect your regular desktop traffic. But we can look at mobile traffic in here. So many people these days are using their phones and their other devices that you really do want a friendly site. So you can see here, I get a good chunk of mobile. Pretty much half is mobile and tablet and half desktop traffic. So if I don't want to alienate all those mobile visitors, I need to have some mobile version. And I just have some plugin that a WordPress plugin that makes it mobile friendly. I didn't want to deal with it. I did get the message from Google I don't know how long ago it was, a while back that said mine wasn't mobile friendly, which I actually had. I don't know how I missed that. I just totally forgot to even look into that when I first made the site. But so I right away, I just found a plugin and put it in. A lot of them charge money, but I forget which one I found that was free. It's not an ideal one, but it's a good stopgap, and they don't keep sending me that message. And I do get mobile visitors, as you can see, so it was good enough, apparently. And what a mobile plugin does, and a mobile version of your site, it just makes it sort of takes away all the clutter of the website and makes it so you don't have all the like a sidebar. For mine, it pretty much takes away the sidebar and just makes it so it's a sort of one long scrolling site, and it's fine. It's easy enough for people to read the content on their phones that way, and it works fine. Wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah, we're just more or less out of time.
I didn't even think I was going to have much to talk about.
You say that every time.
I'm sure.
Well, listen, Jill, thank you so much for doing this. It's been absolutely fascinating for me. Can I say, and very informative. I hope it's also been informative for everyone who joined us. And thank you too very much for joining us.
And I just wanted to say, if anyone has questions about it, you can email me, Whalen@gmail.com, or I'll go on my whatdidyoudo.jill.com site and fill out the contact form there, or follow me on Facebook. But yeah, anyone who's interested, and we can maybe send out, if because Christian has a list of the people who wanted to see this recording, I can send her something with a link to information about that referral spam to try and filter that out. Now you have to have a little bit of technical knowledge of Google Analytics to be able to figure out how to do it. But if you have a webmaster too, they can probably help you as well. I'll send that out too. I guess that's it.
Well, great. Thanks so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And yeah, good night. Take care. See you again sometime, perhaps.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.